Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome on in. Welcome to the 411 podcast. It is Sunday, May 25th, and this is Spiritual Sunday. I want to welcome you all in. I want to say thank you so much to everyone out there who is supporting. If you could please like, comment, subscribe, share, tag a friend, let them know exactly what we have going on here inside the 411 podcast. But before we go ahead and get started, I want to go ahead and give a very special thank you to my executive producer. I want to thank God for giving me another opportunity to come out here and give you the 411 podcast. We got a great show tonight. Track 19, Tithe, Tolls, and Trust. Rebuilding spiritual boundaries in the name of peace. So let's get right on into this here. I want to give a recap from our last episode. So for those of you who missed last episode, please go ahead and watch that replay. But we were helping out Roland from Newark, New Jersey. And Roland is a single father who's raised 2 kids. And he seems to be going through some financial issues, some car repairs, and bills are piling up. He owes some back taxes, and he got a lot going on. And from what I got out of it, he's in his 50s and he's asking the question if he can still do this. Is it too late for him to turn this thing around? So if you've been around here for a minute, you know that it's never too late to make a change. The fact that you're actually here listening today, that's a good sign that, you are moving in the right direction. So if you can look up, then you can get up. So we help Roland out. And if you want to find out exactly the path, the journey that we laid out for him, we can only give, life experiences. And I don't know who I'm speaking to. I'm just speaking from experience. So I'm not here to give any advice. I want to make sure that that's very clear. So this is just basically what I would do if I was in Roland's shoes. So go ahead and watch that replay. I want to give a very special thank you to my special guest, Miss SOS, for joining me and helping me out during that session. And now we can go ahead and get right on into the song of the day. We're going to talk about Miss Fantasia. Her song, I'm Doing Me, was released in 2010 off of her album Back to Me. So the question that I have for each and every one of you out there is, have you ever given so much of yourself to the fact that you feel that you are not getting a good return on your investment? She also has a song called Win to Lose, and sometimes you got to lose to win again. It's almost like the things that we go through in life, that maybe we need to go through some of these so we can experience some storms, so we can experience some setbacks, so we can experience some pain, so we can experience some drama in order for us to remember Jennifer Hudson, she has a song called I Remember Me. Sometimes we have to go back so we can remember ourselves. So that once we come across some of these same scenarios, once we come across some of this familiarity, we realize that, nah, we don't want to do that again. So once we remember, we realize that we're not going to tolerate this anymore. I've been there and done that before. I no longer want to go there anymore. And for those of you who have been struggling to make ends meet, just to make sure that everyone is okay around you, the job is okay, my kids are okay, my family is okay, people at the church, they're okay, people at the club are okay, how are my uncles, cousins, aunties, everybody else okay? Sometimes it is okay to just say, I'm doing me this time around. If you've done everything that you could for everybody around you, and sometimes you look at yourself and you shortchange yourself a little bit, you do whatever you need to do to make sure that everybody is okay. But sometimes when we live like that, the main person that we need to take care of and the main person that we need to make sure is okay, we don't. And that person is yourself. So after you've done all that you can do, after you've done pleased everybody that you can possibly please, and guess what? Sometimes you're not even going to please all of them. Somebody's always going to have something to say. Somebody's always going to show up and say that you didn't do what you were supposed to do when you could have and you didn't. So as we say, I'm doing me this time around. I don't need your drama right now. I'd rather be by myself because I won't let your drama. I won't let your trauma. I won't let any of your negativity. I won't let any more of your depleting situations and scenarios take me down. If you don't take care of you, then who else will? Song of the day, I'm Doing Me by Fantasia. Released in 2010 off of the Back to Me album. Sometimes it's just okay to say I'm doing me. I've done everything that I could possibly do for everybody else around me, but today, I just can't do it. Spiritual Sunday. Thank you so much for joining in. If you are out there, please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend, invite them, and let them know exactly what we got going on here on the 411 podcast. Tonight, tithes, tolls, and trust, rebuilding spiritual boundaries in the name of peace. So we're going to help out Miss Janet. She is from Montgomery, Alabama. Have that roll off properly. Montgomery, Alabama. Miss Jasmine B. She's a choir director and a substitute teacher. Janice is spiritually exhausted after years of caregiving, divorce, and financial obligation to her church and family. She wants to reconnect with God from a space of peace, not guilt, and learn how to set boundaries without feeling selfish. Janice is spiritually exhausted after years of caregiving, divorce, and financial obligation to her church and her family. She wants to connect with God from a space of peace, not guilt, and learn how to set boundaries without feeling selfish. So, as we help Miss Janet tonight, I want everyone to think about this. All so long, people have twisted it up and made it seem as if when you start to love yourself, when you start to think about yourself, that could be some form of being selfish. Now, there's one thing when you are very prideful, when you're very boastful, when you're sort of do things in a way of being conceited, not really looking out for others, just all about self, self, self. Now, I do say everything starts with self because it does. You're not going to be able to get what you need to get from looking towards somebody else. You have to look inward. You have to look at yourself in order to get the answers that you need to move forward. And with getting with yourself, as everything starts with self, you get into your spiritual realm and you get to focus on you and you and your creator and your higher power. Everything starts with self. You're not going to get the things that you need to get from turning toward man, turning toward materialistic things, turning toward the world, trying to get the answers that you need. Everything starts with self. So I don't want people to take that as a form of being conceited, a form of being prideful, a form of being boastful. That's your spiritual connection. Everything starts with self. It starts there first before you can go outward into the world. So everything starts with self. So it's from what I get from here, Janice is torn. Maybe Janice doesn't know who she is. And I know it sounds kind of rough to say that, but yeah, people in there, it doesn't matter what age it is. People wake up at all different times. I woke up in my 40s. It's no coincidence that Janice here is 50 and it looks like she doesn't know who she totally is at this moment. And that's okay. People can wake up at different times, but we should never feel selfish for giving ourselves some love, for taking care of ourselves. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, like I said earlier at the top of the show, then who else will? So we have to look inside first before we can move forward and try to help and build and help someone else. Through this scenario here, I can clearly see that Janice has been ripping and running and doing for other people more than she has been doing for herself. She's tired. She's exhausted. And all she wants to do is reconnect. See, the key word reconnect. So she lost connection with God, clearly, when you begin to do things for everybody else before you even decide to think about yourself. Maybe she's not taking time to pray. Maybe that part of her life is gone dormant. I don't know. I'm only going from what I see here, but she wants to reconnect with God from a space of peace. It sounds like there's no peace here. Not guilt, so she's feeling guilty. And she wants to learn to set boundaries without feeling selfish. She's exhausted, spiritually exhausted, after years of caregiving. Again, caring for other people before you care for yourself. That would be one of the red flags there. Choir director, substitute teacher, has a family. There it goes, right there, choir director. So a lot of this is with the church. And caregiving. So now we got a lot going on here. And not to mention that she went through a divorce. And she has some financial obligations to her church and her family. So I don't know how much she's given to her church, how much she's given to her family, whether she's paying for her children's school. We don't know what that scenario looks like. But clearly there's a financial obligation going on right there. She feels obligated to give. Now, I would say that it's interesting how the church is listed here first before the family. I know a lot of people who are in the church, and I've heard stories from the past that they will give to the church before they give to their own family. From the outside looking in, it looks as though this might be one of those scenarios here. Obligated to give to your church. And the question that I have to ask, and again, this is like very touchy compared to last week when I spoke about giving to the church when you don't have, giving when you don't have. It's okay to tell somebody, I just don't have it to give to you. Like, I might have it. It might be used and tucked away, and it might have been budgeted toward other categories that are needed in order to sustain and maintain my life. But just because I have it in the bank account does not mean that I have it to give to you. So I'm not quite sure what obligation that Janice has towards the church, but it's a little interesting that the church has been listed before her family. And this might just be me reading into it too much, but never should one feel that they should have an obligation to give to someone outside of their household versus taking care of their household first. Now, there are different scenarios, different dynamics behind it, and this is not just one cookie cutter type of situation, but I'm just speaking in general that it's not good to give to the church before you take care of your own four walls. Make sure that you're standing on your own 2 feet. And as far as reconnecting with God from a space of peace, until Janice takes a step back and learns to get with herself, as everything starts with self, I don't think that there'll be much peace there, because you have your church obligations, you have the substitute teacher obligations, your caregiving, you're financially stretching yourself thin from what you're giving to the church, what you're giving to your family. Again, I don't know the dynamic between the family, if the family is old enough to start generating income on their own or not. There are no ages listed here. So, we might be dealing with little children who I don't know at this point, 55 years old. I would say maybe your kids are getting up there to the point where maybe they could start to contribute a little bit more, or have the right conversations with them about where money comes from and how it's generated. But never should one feel guilty about taking time to themselves. So I don't know where that guilt comes from. And I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. Maybe the guilt comes from the church that you go to. Maybe they have you in a certain way, and I'm not going to use certain terminology, but maybe they have you set up, programmed in a certain way to think that you have to give a specific amount, a certain percentage. We spoke about this last week when it comes to tithing and giving. Some people call it giving back, but I don't like to say giving back, because if you didn't take anything in the first place, why are you giving it back? So just giving. Something's off here. There's guilt, because maybe they want you to contribute a certain percentage. And now that leads me to the part where I say, I have it, but I don't have it to give to you. So give what you can. This is just coming from my perspective. Give what you can. You have to make sure that you are financially sound on your own 2 feet before you could start to dig into your pockets and give to somebody else. And if you can't give financially, and you're wrapped up and you're trapped up in a situation, then there's only other ways that you can give. You're going to give spiritually, you're going to give mentally, and you're going to give physically, from the time and the energy that it takes to stand up there, to volunteer, to do whatever you're doing. You may not be able to give financially all the time, but maybe you can give your energy in another way. Maybe you could support in another way. So I would strongly urge that we might need to hit this pause button. Maybe we don't need to reset everything, but we might need to hit this pause button and start to redirect and change some things around. Because if you are the choir director, you're giving to the church already, you're putting time into it. It sounds like you could be putting a little bit more of your personal time into it as well. Again, I don't know. But when it comes to the financial obligations, sounds like you're already putting a lot of physical time into it. So maybe we might need to back up on one versus the other, so that you can have some personal time to yourself, so that you can be rejuvenated and start to make some good financial decisions when it comes to what you're doing, where your money is going. Because when you are physically drained and when you are mentally drained, Sometimes it makes sense when you are financially drained as well, because your mind wasn't sharp enough, your spiritual discernment wasn't sharp enough in order for you to make good, positive, sound financial decisions. See, all of these things go hand in hand and they're interconnected. So if you are spiritually drained and you are mentally drained, and then you turn around and make some poor financial decisions that put you into the area and the scenarios of being financially drained, it makes sense. Now, if your mind was clear and you had some peace, you had some time, you were able to get things under control and have a little bit of clarity around the situation. Therefore, you'll be a little bit more sharper when you show up in the physical world, and you'll have that mental discipline and that spiritual realm of discernment to be able to make some better financial decisions. So there's a lot going on here. And I see she's financially obligated to her church and her family. That line just keeps sticking out and jumping off the page to me. Financially obligated to her church. That's deep. To the fact that we are putting our financial obligations to the church over the relationship and the connection that we have with God. That's deep. Everything starts with self. That's the first thing that we would focus on, is connecting spiritually, focusing with ourselves inward, and then pushing outward. Focus inward and then push outward. It seems as if her connection with God has been put on the back burner, which we all know that God is a jealous God, and we should never put anyone before God, have no other gods before him. So again, when it comes to some of these people, we can start to make people a god. The people, the relationships that we have in our lives, the jobs that we go to, the cars that we drive, the money, the clothes, the jewelry. We have to be very careful about making all of these external gods. And there's some guilt coming from, and I can only assume from her place of worship, because it seems as if she's so programmed to the financial obligations that she has to the church that she might not want to do certain things. Maybe it's the time that she's putting in and she wants to spend time and rest and just relax, but she feels guilty because she has some obligations to the church. And here's the thing that jumps off the page as well: and learn how to set boundaries without feeling selfish. One should never feel selfish when it comes to setting boundaries as far as what you need to make your life go round, what you need to make sure that you are feeling healthy and whole and sound so that you can conduct yourself as a positive human being in the world. Because if you have to show up and you are tired, you're disrespectful as far as the way you look at people, as far as the energy that you are projecting out there in the universe, that's a problem. If you have to show up somewhere mean mugging people, being disrespectful, not showing up as a decent human being, that's the only way that I could put it, then maybe you might need to go back and reevaluate some things and get your boundaries set up so that where you can have that time to yourself, so you can hit that reset button, so you can relax and you can rejuvenate, so that you can show up in the world respecting people as if you want people to respect you. So there's some boundary issues. She probably is a people pleaser. She probably says yes and agrees to doing things that she doesn't want to do. And I've been there before. And I used to be that person that showed up and was very angry, disrespect, all of the stuff that I just said. That was me, because I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to set boundaries. And I went to places that I shouldn't have gone to. And I signed up for things that I really didn't want. and it was a disaster, and it always ended in disaster. And I was always drained, depleted, and worn down because of what somebody else put on top of me, what somebody else wanted me to carry. And I just gladly said, sure, knowing that I had all these things going on, knowing that I had other obligations, knowing that I had my plate full. But here I was, like, sure, pile it right on just to make somebody happy. And while I'm sitting there watching everybody else become happy and enjoy, I'm sitting here just as miserable as I can be because that's not what I wanted to do in the first place. No is a complete sentence. And there's nothing wrong with that. And what I've learned is that when you don't say no, regardless of whether you say no or you don't say no, these people are pretty much okay and they're going to move on with their lives regardless. They're going to move on with their situation. They're going to move on with their scenario regardless. And while you say yes to something that you originally meant to say no, just look around at everybody else, carrying on with their lives, living on just as if nothing happened, and they could care less about what you got going on. And you're the only one feeling a certain way internally. And if you were anything like me, that internal will start to show out in the world and show up externally. However I felt on the inside, damn sure showed up on the outside. And that's how it always starts, and that's what it is. You have to make sure your internal dialogue matches the out. So if your internal dialogue is not in a good, healthy place, trust and believe that that's exactly what your environment and your world's going to end up being. Wow. So yeah, I'd say hit the reset button. This is a deep one. This is a deep one here, and because I feel on multiple reasons, because spiritually there's some spiritual exhaustion here and some spiritual neglect here. Everything starts with self. Janice needs to take a good look in the mirror and start to hit that pause button and start to prioritize some things. Maybe you might need to delete some things out of your life that just no longer serve you, that's not matching up and making sense. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because if you're feeling exhausted, you have guilt, you have shame because of the way you are showing up in the world, then we might need to do something about that. Because we're not supposed to conduct ourselves like that. We're not supposed to be showing up in a world like that. And give what you can give. If it's a financial situation and you're strained and you're strapped because you have a family that you have to take care of, which they should be put before the church, we might need to just give what we can give. And if you can't give it from a financial aspect, then the time. But then again, I can't even say the time because it looks like you're already strapped to begin with. So maybe that's that time that you need to start pulling back, because time is more valuable than money. Some people think that money is it. Money is everything. Time is more valuable than money, because if you were on your deathbed and you were ready to take your last breath and somebody gave you a few more years to live or $1 million, which one are you going to take? So I don't want to turn this into a whole financial aspect, although there is something that has to do with it. But it may also be just giving up too much of your time to places that no longer serve you, to the fact that you got more time invested in them than you have in yourself. This is deep. This is a deep one here, because it's looked like it's coming from both angles, multiple angles. And never should we feel guilty and selfish for doing something for ourselves that may help better ourselves and everybody around us. Because if you keep on doing for others, you keep on doing things for others and you don't do for yourself. If you're anything like me, that's when, forget about guilt and selfishness. That's when the light bulb starts to go off and I start to wake up and realize and see what game is being played. That's when the anger used to come in. That's when the resentment used to come in. And thank God I've been delivered from all of those things, because then there were some times where revenge would come in. Like, oh, I see what game this is. But see, I can avoid all of those. I could avoid anger. I could avoid revenge. I could avoid resentment today with just one simple word: no. And I do today, because I don't have to go places. I don't have to attach myself. I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do today. And I don't. And if it don't make sense for me and the situation I have going on here, then I just don't do it. And you got to be careful, because giving to certain places where they want to make you feel a certain way if you don't meet this specific quota or you don't meet this certain cap, if that's all that you have to give, then that's exactly what that means. Never should we put ourselves in a situation financially just to say that we gave. That's a problem. Let me know what you think about tonight's scenario. Wow. This one definitely has me thinking. How many people out there are tithing, putting themselves in a situation financially just to say that they did it? And how much toll do we put on ourselves when we run ourselves ragged, running around trying to please people and to make everybody else happy first before we even think about ourselves? And then what toll does that put on us spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially? Mm. If you want to chime in tonight, you can please text me at 609 200 1098. Again, that number is 609 200 1098. That is the official 411 podcast Reading Between the Wines hotline. You may also DM me on any of my social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok. Tonight's burning question: is it possible to honor God and others without sacrificing your own peace and purpose in the process? Is it possible to honor God and others without sacrificing your own peace and purpose in the process? And my answer is yes. And this would help tie in with Janice as well. So it is possible to honor God. And the way we can honor God is by getting with ourselves first, strengthening and deepening our prayer life, our meditation life, focusing on God first before we focus on others. That way, with clarity, with rejuvenation, with a clear peace of mind, we're able to help others. We'll come from a peaceful place. We'll come from a restful place. We'll come from a place of abundance versus coming from a place of scarcity. We won't be looking at our watches, looking at the time. We won't be drained. We won't be down. We won't be out, because we've taken time to rest, relax, rejuvenate, pray, ask questions, receive the answers, and then operate properly in the physical realm. That's protecting your peace. And if you're asking and you're getting with God and you're having Him direct you, now we're walking in purpose. So it is. It's very possible to honor God and others without sacrificing your own peace. Doing it the other way now you're sacrificing your own peace and your purpose, and you're doing it out of order, out of sync, and who knows what that's going to become. But it doesn't sound anything good at all. Very, very deep, burning question, because that used to be me. I used to not honor God. I would make everyone else, I put everyone else before myself, put everyone else before God. And let me tell you, it didn't work out well. My peace was always disrupted. I always felt like I wasn't standing in my purpose. I always knew that I was doing something incorrect, but was so caught up and I didn't know how to get out of it. But let me tell you, disobey long enough. Just keep disobeying. Keep going along with your plan, thinking that your plan is better, bigger, and better than his. And, sometimes thinking that you know everything. God has a way of fixing everything and rebalancing and equalizing everything. He sees and hears everything and knows everything. I would say boundaries. Boundaries is so important. And never should anybody make you feel a certain way because you decided to set boundaries to make sure that you can protect your peace and to protect your spiritual being and your spiritual foundation. That's the most important thing that you can have, as a spiritual foundation, and make sure that it's on solid ground and it's not built on a house of cards or some nonsense. Or that's how you honor God, by making sure your spiritual foundation is on lock and key, and can't nobody, no man, no job, no cars, no money, no situation can come in and try to take you off your game, sweep you up off your feet, make you start to think a certain way, make you feel a certain way. Unshakable faith, undeniable. It is possible to honor God and others without sacrificing your own peace and purpose in the process. Yes, it is. By making sure your spiritual foundation is on lock and key and you know who you are. And you're not going to know who you are until you get with yourself. Everything starts with self. Until you understand and know exactly what you got, lay it out all on the table. Just you and yourself, staring back at yourself in that mirror, trying to figure it out, map it out. Think about it from the other aspect. You dishonor God and others when you give up and you sacrifice your own peace just to please other people, follow their plan, go along with their situation, become a yes man to whatever they want you to do. And then look at your life and look at your situations and look at your scenarios as an aftermath, as an afterthought, after you've been depleted and drained from living in the world and doing what everybody else wants you to do. I believe that is the ultimate disrespect that one can give to themselves and to God when we operate like that. I used to get up every morning, and as soon as the alarm clock went off, jump up, get in the shower, and be ripping and running and going and doing what everybody else wanted me to do. Not taking time to pray, reflect, not even taking time to look at myself good, to see if we feel good about what we're doing, how we're moving, how we're showing up. So I get this, Janice, and let's hope that tonight we have some sort of breakthrough, because it's something else when we feel that we are obligated to give and do for others and to others before we even give to ourselves. If there's anything that you heard tonight when it comes to the burning questions or tonight's scenario, please feel free to reach out. 609-200-1098. That is the official 411 podcast, Reading Between the Wines hotline. Again, that number is 609-200-1098. I am also on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, D Live, Twitch, Daily Motion. Everything is at Laren Gaines. You can also head on over to LarenGaines.com. If there's anything that you heard tonight that sparks something in you that made you say, I want to learn a little bit more about that, you can head on over to LarenGaines.com and you can sign up for my free 15-minute consultation. I focus on debt-free living from spiritual, mental, physical, and financial well-being. We focus on the physical first, understand and know who you are. Once you understand and know who you are, then we focus on the mental aspect, making sure that we are operating from a space of abundance and we are deleting any thoughts, negativity, any areas of scarcity in our lives and how we feel and think about money. After we connect the spiritual to the mental, now we flow into the physical realm, focusing and looking at ourselves and seeing how we are showing up in the world. How are we showing up and how are we becoming who is the person that we are becoming and how is it matching up? And then from that we move to the physical aspect. From that we move to the financial aspect. Debt-free living from spiritual, mental, physical, and financial wellness. Head on over to LarenGaines.com if you're interested in a free 15-minute consultation. Now, when I speak about the free 15-minute consultation, I want to say it is for only those of you out there who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. People who look at their own current situation and know that there's something that is just not right, something that needs to change. You have to want to change. This is not something that I can wave a magic wand and make it work for you. I give you the information, I give you the tools, the exercises, the programs, and then it's all up to you to make it work and for you to make it happen. But again, it's only for those who look at their current situation and they want different. They know that there has to be more to life than just this. There has to be more to life than paying excessive credit card debt. There has to be more to life than being drowned and stuck and can't swim in student loan debt. There has to be more to life than this, than the personal loans. There has to be more to life than the payday loans. There has to be more to life than the excessive car payments and living well beyond our means, keeping up with the Joneses. For those of you who are ready to cut up your credit cards, for those of you who say, I get it, I get the end game. I'm not where I need to be right now. I might need to learn a little bit more. I might need to study a little bit more. I'm ready to sit down. I'm ready to listen. Head on over to LarenGaines.com. Sign up for that free 15-minute consultation. You can also sign up for my free monthly newsletter. Awesome, inspirational, motivational content delivered to your inbox once a month. Again, that is at LarenGaines.com. Now, I want to let you know that we have several different nights. We have Spiritual Sunday. We have Mental Monday. We have Transformational Tuesday. We have Wind Down Wednesday. And we have Coaching Session Thursdays. And we have Financial Fridays. So 6 days, we're not here on Saturdays. 6 days throughout the week, you will get awesome content that will help you on your spiritual, on your mental, on your physical and financial journey. Spiritual Sunday, Mental Monday, Transformational Tuesday, Wind Down Wednesday, Coaching Sessions Thursday, by the way, which is a wild card, so you never know what you're going to get on Thursday. And then we have Financial Friday. So stick around at Laren Gaines. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend, text a friend, invite them in, share this video, like this video, put your comments in there. Let me know what you think about tonight's scenario. And on that note, I will see you when I see you. I will see you Mental Monday. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Take care.